Alright guys, well today I want to show you a piece of my property on Rebel Hill, how coming in here and doing a combination of a hinge cut and some hack and spraying, how it can really benefit your property here. I came in about somewhere close to a month ago when things were starting to green up, and I did a hack spray in here, and it killed off probably about 60 to 70% of the trees that I actually hack sprayed. And I came in here just a few days ago, and some of them that were like half dead or were dying or that weren't really dying too much, I went ahead and did another dose of the hack spray. And then I went strategically, when I did that to start with, I left a lot of these trees in here completely untouched that I knew I wanted to come in and hinge cut. And those are some specific species in here. Some of them are some of the hickory, because that's a really good one to hinge cut, some of the elm and ash that are in here, and some of the cherries, just because those do really good on hinge cutting. Now the reason I decided not to just come in and hinge cut this whole entire thing is you can see about 60 yards through there. That way is my driveway, and because I like things to look appealing to me and to other people when they drive in, I didn't want every tree in here just hacked down and not looking the best to the human eye. So I decided to come in here, and with the hack spray, is able to leave these trees standing. It doesn't look like a bunch of mess, but as you can tell, there is a ton of sunlight already starting to come through, a lot more than the forest back behind me on the other side of the four-wheeler trail. So on this side, I'm going to go in here today, and now I'm going to come back in with the chainsaw, and I'm going to hinge cut a lot of these trees, and then you'll really be able to see how it's going to be opened up. But you can still see some of these trees are starting to die off in here. You can see how the sun's starting to come through there. Some of them are just now starting to wilt, and some of them have been dead for weeks, like this ash tree right here that's up at the top. It's completely dead. I decided to hack spray that one because that was on the four-wheeler trail. I didn't want it to fall over on the four-wheeler trail when I hinge cut it. Now with the amount of sunlight that's already coming in here, the deer have already been in here browsing because there's a lot of new growth coming up. There's new grapevines coming up. There's some new saplings coming up. And some of the areas where I just hack and sprayed and you got some new growth coming in, the deer have been hammering it. So this is going to do really well for me on my property because we've been in severe drought all year. Food plots are not doing anything right now because we've been promised like 10 days of rain since we planted them, and we've had absolutely almost zero rain. We've had less than a quarter inch since I planted my food plots, and we were supposed to have rain the day after. So but that's the way it's been going. But this is one thing that you can count on when your food plots aren't putting out the forage like you need to. Hardier species, like your species that are going to be found in your woods, your native species, you can go in and improve those, and you're going to have enough browse for the deer on your property. Golly. Now don't get me wrong, I love doing this kind of work and it's enjoyable to me, but it is hard work. You've got to make sure you're wearing the right safety equipment. I always wear my chainsaw chaps along with some gloves. I've got my helmet protection, I've got my hearing protection and my eye protection. Normally I like to go in and I like to cut these trees off just level. Doesn't always happen that way. As you get a little bit better at this and more experienced, sometimes you can get away with doing some of those diagonal cuts to make the tree fall where you want to, but there's always that real threat of that tree trying to twist and fall back where you don't want it to if you're going to cut at an angle. But anyway, I like to cut about 3/4 of the way through, and if I can, push the tree over. Normally I'm going to try to get somewhere around my waist high. It depends what I'm kind of doing when I'm out there. As I start falling some of these trees I'm going to overlap, and to overlap them I might find another dogwood that I want to fall on top, and I've got to cut it a little bit higher so it falls on it just perfectly, because throughout this you can see that there's the fallen sporadic trees that are out in there, but then there's also areas that I've clustered them up and I've fallen them on top of each other and try to create a little sanctuary area. I've got about half this hillside down. You can really see the skylight through there now compared to when I started. And for the most part of the day, it's going to get a lot of sunlight in here without even burning this area. It's going to have like a flush of vegetation growth inside of this. Plus, with this hinge cutting, a good majority of these trees are going to survive, and it might not look thick to the human eye from our perspective, you know, from our height, but you get down on the deer's level and already you've created a sanctuary area. You've provided a lot of browse. You've brought that canopy from above where they couldn't reach it and brought it right down to the dinner table. So this is looking great. This is on Rebel Hill. I've got a food plot back here on the back corner. We're going to put up one of our redneck soft-sided ghillie blinds, expand that food plot, really create the sanctuary area around here. The reason that we're doing this where I am is because that's one thing that if there's anything that's lacking on my property, it's just cover and native browse. And so we've got the food plots now, we've got the water sources, we've got the mineral sites, but now we've really got to improve that native habitat to really be able to hold the quantity of deer and the amount of bucks that we want to. We really want to break up these bucks and not only have one good sanctuary area where every buck in our area is competing for that one sanctuary area. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and on some of these south-facing hill slopes, this one's not necessarily a south-facing hill slope, but it makes sense to have this as a sanctuary area between the two of these food plots. So hopefully when we're hunting, we get some really good deer activity pretty quick in these food plots. So really happy with the way this is turning out. I want to keep you guys updated. I'm actually going to go throw a couple of spy point trail cameras on this right now because I can guarantee you there will be deer in here tonight browsing on this. Again, I went through, I'm really selective on what I want to fall. I might have left up a couple more big canopy dogwood than I wanted to, but dogwoods are a great tree to go ahead and you can just cut it at the stump because you're going to have a flush of vegetation off of a dogwood. Same thing with like a sassafras, but those leaves on those trees are also really attractive to deer. So if you can fall those trees and keep them alive on hinge cut, they also are great benefits for that. But so really happy with the way this turned out. I'm going to continue to update you guys with a ton of management tips I'm doing here on the hunting grounds on a small piece of property like this. The cool thing about a smaller piece of property like this, you can manage every single square inch and really micromanage it. And as long as you don't overpressure it, you're going to have per square inch or square foot or square mile a much more like attractive area for whitetail than you would if you had a large piece of property and you just did some management here and there. So super excited about this. Hope you guys enjoy this. Comment down below. Please give me a big thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed if you're not subscribed. And guys, until next time, have a better than average day. You tickle